All right, so this is the nerve center of Unkyjoe's Playhouse. It's seen a lot of changes over the years, and so I thought I'd give you the grand tour. I never really have given you like the grand tour, right? Like, did you know I have a full bath back here? Yeah, yeah. It's fair. I keep it fairly clean. This is also my fish changing, water changing fish room thingy. Pay no attention to that pile on the floor. That sand I spilled. I got to get it up. But this is where I can fill my aquariums from. And then the aquariums are, another hobby I have. I now have a separate channel dedicated to Unkyjoe's Aquatics, and that's what it's called, Unkyjoe's Aquatics. So my future fish videos and aquarium videos will all be going there. So I'm not going to spend too much time other than to say I created this monstrosity. About a year ago I built this, and it's been working great to store my tanks, but spoilers, it's going to get updated. It's going to get updated. So you got that to look forward to. I got another tank over here, or another 4 tanks over here on these steel racks, and then, fish stuff and whatnot. And then I got another, this is where all my hats live. So I got this, and then here's where I have some escaping supplies for my aquariums, and some gravel and some bigger rocks down there, and more aquarium stuff, old filters, my chair where I can sit and watch whatever I want happening at the fish tanks. I haven't spent enough time in this chair, but I'm bound and determined to keep it clean. And then another little rack over here, because why not? You can never have too much storage. And I got a nice beautiful ivy on here that I take clippings of. So, and then we'll come around to the back again. The object is to show you areas I don't often show you. Like, I may have stuff put in bins and put on shelves, but I'm just as disorganized as the rest of you, I guess. So then behind that, this space back here, this is where my desk used to be. It was going to be a production space for that desk right there. And then I decided, why? I hardly ever film at that desk. And, if I need to, I can pull a camera out real quick and do it. I have another rack here where I keep all my supplies in bins. I got to go through and get rid of some of this old stuff, though. I've become a pack rat, and I've just collected so much stuff over the years, and I need to go through it. And that stuff that I'm not going to use, like in the next 6 months, it needs to either be donated or thrown into the trash. But it's also an area to store stuff, so when I go to trench for my electrical, I'm going to use this water power blaster washer thingy. And I've got some storage under the desk. The back of the rack is here, and also the back of this table. As you can see, I've started to get the cables all tied up here now that I'm going to have the rack here permanently. This wire is for the UPS, and that goes up to my 24 volt Victron system. And so I've got incoming grid power from here, goes into the Victron, and the Victron does its magic. Breaker box, I got a 20 amp outlet here that powers my rack, this desk, and pretty soon is going to power my desk as well. There's no need to have that on another system. I might as well hang it on the 24 volt system. And so yeah, so there's all my parts and stuff, and spare light bulbs, spare switches, Canon camera gear. Yeah, I try to stay organized, but it's hard. I got a lot of stuff going on, and it gets overwhelming at times. But this is the back section of the studio / room that you hardly ever get to see. And so now I've shown it to you. Now this room is called the equipment room now, and this used to be the server room, and I moved the rack out only to move another rack in, but a rolling rack. Now this is equipment that's not used that much. I've got a Lenovo SE350 I got a Dell 730, and then I got a SR650V2 Lenovo server here on a rolling rack. And then my lines for my heat pump go out through this wall out to the back wall. I've got a switch here for I got a PoE switch here for all my cameras. This is my incoming connection for my ISP for my fiber, one of my fiber connections. Let's see, and I've cleaned things up. Now, keep in mind this rat's nest of wires down here may look like a rat's nest of wires, but I can pull 2 wires out of anything I need to. I know where they are. And it's in flux. It's not finished yet because this room is always a work in progress. I also have, these are the breakers for my solar panels. So they're disconnects. So right now, PV2 is disconnected and the front panels are disconnected. Because this Victron MPPT RS450-100 is dead. It died. It died. It's a known energy. I'm waiting to see if Victron is going to warranty the darn thing. But we'll see. And then I've got, this is a sub panel for my EG4 6000 XP loads. So there's my mini split feeds. There's a feed to a sub panel. There's a mini split for the studio, the server room plug. All of them are on their own breakers. This is the critical loads feed for the Victron. So this feeds over to my my main panel and my critical loads. I'm using less than 40 amps on all those circuits. And then this is another one here for the server room plug, a 20 amp plug. You can tell because they've got the little wink in the smile. And then this is the main feeder coming in 60 amps from my main panel from the grid. I got a 40 amp dual breaker because it's 240 volt for my EG6 or EG4 6000. 30 amp breaker goes to my 24 volt 3000 watt system as the power to feed it, and then my 48 volt 5000 VA inverter, the Victron, is fed by a 40 amp breaker. And then I have a couple of DIY batteries I built here, and then I've got 1, 2, 3 more 48 volt rack mount batteries all wired up in parallel. Then I have the 6000 EG4 6000 XP. Good inverter. Been very pleased with it. It's not a low frequency inverter. It's a high frequency inverter, so it's not going to last as long as, say, something like the Victron. But that's okay because all this thing does is serve my heating and air conditioning needs in my house right now and my dishwasher. The main loads for the main house are on this Victron Multi Plus 48 volt 5000 VA because most of my loads are 120 volts. The only thing I have on 240 is my stove, dryer, my water heater, and my AC and heat units. And so I just dedicated this to running my mini splits. So if it dies, it's not the end of the world. I can easily replace this thing. Victron takes a while, but this is the one that I trust my entire home to, that and the 24 volt system. And then the miscellaneous stuff to hook it up with. We've talked about these being the wrong fuses, so it's a work in progress. But this is that is the equipment room part of Unkyjoe's Playhouse. So moving into the room, you see the back of my rack, and yeah, I've thought about getting some covers for that. I think maybe I will. I'll just get a couple of panels to cover that, so when I don't need access to it, it doesn't look so horrific. It looks kind of like a hot mess. But on top are my Synology NASs. I've got 3 of them. Well, 2 of them are mine, 1 is a client's. And then, of course, my workbench, which is always busy with some activity. I got Zeus up here right now. If y'all know the history of Zeus, if you watch the channel, you know it's a work in progress. We're doing creating a Windows NAS out of that. I got some tools laying around. Yeah, I just got stuff strewn hither and yon. But I know what I can do with it. I got another telco rack over here. It's got, that is Hephaestus, I believe. That's another Ryzen system that's retired, but it's over there for reasons. I got some battery charging equipment and some multimeters, and then I've got another PoE switch up here, a MikroTik that a subscriber donated, and then a Unify PoE switch on the top, and then my Unify wireless access point for this part of the house. And then and I got an overhead camera that's recording all the time, and it's a PTZ, so I can have that work on any kind of stuff I want to. My printer back here, kind of buried. Pay no attention to my desk. It's a hot mess, but hey, it works. It's not a pigsty, but it is a hot mess. And then I have my workbench over here, my studio desk, I call this. So this is where my secondary Comcast fiber connection is. So I've got dual fiber connections to my house. This is a little PC running pfSense, and this laptop connects to it to get to internet, so I can simulate an off-site connection. And then my 24-volt Victron system, a couple of charge controllers, a Servo GX, the bus bar, all of the ancillary stuff to run it, a battery breaker. Very important you have a breaker on your battery, or an arc you're working with DC voltages here, not AC. So these breakers have to be correct to prevent arc discharge, because you can end up melting these connectors together and the breaker will not work as intended. So very important to get the right breakers. I learned that the hard way. But the Victron system just keeps on taking licking and keeps on ticking. I'm just waiting on some wire to come in to connect the second MPPT charge controller up to another set of panels. And then my lovely spouse and I, when we were young and foolish. And so that's my workflow here. I can swivel my chair and flip around. I've always wanted a desk setup like this, like dual desk, so I can come over here and read something, focus on it intently. And then this is my distracted area over here. As you can see, I got pill bottles. It needs to be straightened up. Okay, I'm a mess, I know. And then the main reason everybody wants to come to see your setup is all the stuff on your rack. So on the top, I've got a Synology FS1018 that was donated years ago by a subscriber by the name of Sasha Lopez. And thank you, Sasha, for donating that. Underneath that is my DS1621. And then over here is a 920 Plus Synology. This is a client's NAS. It's their backup NAS. And there's the LEDs to put on this thing, and there they sit in the box. Then down below we got a StarTech rack. It's a 24U rack. I got a TrendNet to use Keystone jacks for this. I find that works best for mine. Then I've got a Unify Switch 24 here. Then I have a Unify Switch 16, which handles my 10 gig. And then I've got a Unify UDM Pro, which handles my internet egress and ingress. And then I've got a USW here, which I'm currently not using, but I have plans to use. Underneath that is my Super Epic server, and with the help of Sakura. And Sakura and he helped me find the parts for this on the eBays, on the Evil Bays from China. We got it all decked out. I've got lots of videos on that and more to come. Underneath that is Prometheus. Prometheus is my dedicated home server. This is running Blue Iris. It's running Plex. It's running MB. It's running stable bit drive pool. So I can serve out my drives as one large pool of drives. Now, strangely enough, the content for Plex and MB is not stored on this machine. It's stored on the DS1621 Plus. But Prometheus does serve that information out to my home network. So it's my 24-hour, 7-day-a-week server. It's running Windows Server. It's running Hyper-V on it, so I can run virtual machines, and I've got a couple of those running. And then Plex and MB run native, and so does Blue Iris. And it's a 10th or 11th gen. I think it's a 10th gen i5 processor, and with lots of RAM. I think I got 64 or 128 gig of RAM. Don't remember. Underneath that is Metacurb. Metacurb is a server donated by Metacurb. Well, the motherboard was Super Micro motherboard I've got in here, and it serves as kind of a backup server, failover server in case one of these down here fail. This was my daily driver's Dell 620 that went tits up and I really don't use anymore. But I do have a R630 underneath there, and that is a production server. I've got several things hosted on here, clients and whatnot, and it is a trooper. Just keeps on going. I got this a few months ago. I'm very happy with the purchase. Underneath that are two Dell R710s. This one is an archive server. Metacurb donated a bunch of 8 terabyte drives, and I had nowhere to put them until I remembered that the 710 could handle those drives. So this is an offline archive server. So once a month I spin this up and I do a free file sync program is what I use, and make sure I have everything on my NAS is backed up to here, archived onto here, and once a month I just update them. And this is one of 3 archive servers I have. So I'm kind of anal about that. And then the 710 underneath that I hardly ever use because it's only got 2.5-inch drive bays. Several generations old. The SAS controller, SATA controller is previous generation. It's not as fast as modern day. This stuff is really time to put it out to pasture. But it was one of the first servers I got. It was a donation. I've been very happy with it. So I kind of keep it around for sentimental reasons. And then another gracious donation from another subscriber is a smart UPS 2200. I had to buy a battery for it, but it was brand new out of the new in box or old box stock. Never been used. I got a battery, put it in, and it is up and running and doing fine. So thank you for that generous donation. And these are my stylish Crocs. Don't make fun of me because I like to wear Crocs, but there you go. So this is, this is like my work area. So I'm surrounded. I suffer from seasonal depression and depression in general. So that window faces south and east. And I surround myself with lots of light to help prevent getting seasonal depression. It does work. So sit in front of a nice sunny window and you'll cheer up. And then, that's where I do most of my sitting, is my big bahunka sits there, and that's the desk where all the magic happens, as they say. And that is pretty much the view of Unkyjoe's Playhouse, Again, it's always a work in progress. There you go, folks. I want to thank each and every one of you for coming back year after year, week after week, month after month, yada, yada, after yada, yada. Coming to see my live streams, coming to see me. I want you to know it is greatly appreciated. And so subscribe if you're not already a subscriber, and make sure you hit that notification bell to be notified of new videos when they come out. Hit the like button on your way out. It's a little thumbs up thing, and it helps the YouTube algorithms know that you're watching. And please leave your comments in the comments section. I like to hear what you have to say. What direction is this channel going this year? I don't know. Hither and yon. It's, I'm always a work in progress, as is the channel. Please don't forget, we'll see all of you on the other side.
I've been watching old Unkyjoe. From Texas heat to where the cacti grow. Fixing server, solar power in the land, hoping that his plans all stand, making life a touch more bright underneath those southern lights.